Hello, good morning. Welcome to Voice of the Voiceless. My name is Toyin Morafa, and I'll be presenting this show. With me this morning, we have a councillor for Lewisham. He used to be the mayor, but now he's not a councillor. Good morning, Councillor Adefiranya.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for being here with us today. Without taking too long of your time, I'd like you to give a brief introduction about yourself.
Okay. I was born in Nigeria. I came to London in early 60s. Did all my qualifications here.
All right.
And after I finished my teacher training and degree in chemistry and degree in education administration, I started teaching in Wandsworth Boys School in 1972. At that time, Wandsworth Boys was one of the two largest new comprehensive schools in London. So I spent most of my professional life in education.
Right.
Then I I was active politically as a member of Labour Party. Then I decided to go to become a councillor. So I got elected as a councillor in 1990.
Right.
And apart from a short break, I've been representing the same ward in London Borough of Lewisham all the time. I was chairman of the council, which means civic mayor, because of our system in Lewisham. And I was in that position for 7 years, but I decided to step down in May this year after the local elections. But I'm still on the council as a councillor. Currently, I'm the chair of Standards Committee, which will ensure that both officers and elected members behave themselves properly while in office.
While in office. Oh, wow. That's very impressive, Daddy. And like I said, we're very honored to have you here today to talk about the topical issue, that is facing everybody in the community now. And that's mainly this youth gang violence, gun and knife, crime, and how we can help the youth and try and combat it. Firstly, I'd like to talk to you about your life as a teacher. Because like you said, you were a retired teacher and that you used to be here. You used to teach in Wandsworth Boys Grammar School.
Yes.
I understand it was one of the first two schools that became
comprehensive.
Yeah, that became comprehensive.
Yes.
Could you take us down memory lane, how life was at that time? Were there any things that were introduced that was making people feel excluded even while they were in school?
Well, life in those days was much nicer for both children and schools, because there was close family unity, there was close supervision. My school, I got over 2,000 students in that school, and I cannot recollect anybody who was permanently excluded.
I see.
I mean, that's where I started. I mean, I've taught in 2 other schools in London. When I left Wandsworth Boys, I was acting head of chemistry at an all-girls school in Lewisham, acting post. Then from there, I went to Bacon School, which is one of the schools to become one of the first schools to become City Technology College.
I see.
I mean, there were children those days who behaved badly, but not as much as it is nowadays, because family were much more together. I mean, at the end of the school day, you see families sitting together, eating together, and there's very little chance for children to go astray.
I see.
So community was not as divided as it is now. But because there's so much deprivation in many areas, I mean, London is a very rich city.
Yes.
I mean, people say it within England and beyond, that London streets are paved with gold. But at the same time, the inequality is so huge. I mean, there are quite a number of single parents who, I mean, it's not their fault for being single, but situation with them is much more difficult than when you have both parents looking after children. I mean, cost of living has rocketed.
That's true.
I mean, a lot of people there are a lot of homeless people in London, not only among black people, but among white people as well. I mean, up till say 20, 30 years ago, for a couple to buy their own home, it would take an average of 5 years saving to get a deposit.
Right.
Now nowadays, for people to save enough to buy a deposit, could take up to 35 years.
Forever.
So if you buy a house, 35 years to buy a house, and then how are you going to pay the mortgage?
That's true.
I mean, I bought my first house in the same year when I got married.
Right. Right. Oh, excellent.
So life is much easier in those days than it is now. And also, other thing is, I mean, a lot of my studies were, I mean, during the holiday, before you finish college, job is waiting for you.
That's true.
I mean, every Christmas, you got Christmas rush. So you got 2 weeks from school and from college, you got 2 weeks of holiday waiting for you. When I was a student, I had a car as a student because I mean, life is. I mean, I also got grant in those days, so life is good.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Daddy, because you made a very important point now about jobs being there when back in those days. So even when you had your Christmas rush, people were being you could be employed as a student.
Yes.
But in these days, if you can see, the children are offending like from far younger and younger. So there are times when you can see like a 9-year-old child has already got a criminal record.
Yes.
Even before becoming a teenager.
Yes.
Now these people, when they come to the job market, they find it very difficult. So because of their criminal record, they're stuck in the same thing. If they were with the gangs before, they'll just go back to the gang because they say that there's no jobs out there. But a lot of them would like to work. Are there any ways we can help them, you know? You've been on the board of a local authority for long, so I'm sure you'll be able to know the type of help the council can offer these children. Are there ways that we can offer them help? Then from there, let them know that it doesn't mean that your life is at an end because you've got a record.
There are a lot of issues which are linked to young people's committing crime.
Right.
In this country, you got no choice. You have to be in full-time education from age of 5 to age of 16.
Right.
Now, when I started teaching, I said there was very little exclusion. Then later on, there were a lot of exclusion going on. And many kids who are excluded, there's nothing for them to do. Then they roam about the street in daytime.
That's true.
They move around with gangs. Parents don't know where they are. Both white and black are excluded, but for every white child is excluded, the chance of black child to be excluded will be 7 times that.
Right.
And if you are excluded, your education is disrupted.
That's true.
Many people who have suffered exclusion in school end up being homeless, end up being jobless, and many of them also become involved in crime.
That's
so
true.
there are a lot of things which impact on young people's life if they suffer exclusion.
Right.
So, I mean, what local authorities are doing, where schools are still in control of local authorities, is local authority to have policy whereby a school tackle the reduction in schools exclusion. Work with schools, head teachers, and school governors to making sure that exclusion is used as a sanction of last resort.
Last resort.
So you don't just exclude the child on the whim. And if a child is excluded, local authorities should make sure what they used to call referral unit,
right,
whereby a child who the excludee can go to the referral unit and still continue with his or her education. And also we work with police. So for example, in Lucian, we have a senior officer who's responsible for crime reduction.
Right.
So to make sure that those children who are vulnerable can be looked after, could be monitored.
Right.
I mean, I know life is not easy now, but police used to actually go around shopping malls and pick up children who should be in school while they were not in school.
That's true.
Now, there have been tremendous reduction on the number of police available.
Right.
So doing that now is not easy at all. So parents also have to play a part.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Daddy. Before we go to the part of the parents, I'd like to touch more about the police reduction that we're talking about. Like, we understand from Mayor Sadiq Khan that there's a lot of reduction in the police, and for us to tackle this problem, it might be a generational one that might take 10 years. Now, some of us disagree with it because we feel that it shouldn't just be the police that should be trying to, create social awareness or combating this. Other individuals should step out and help them and assist them by trying to educate these kids the right way. How do you feel about that? And how much more help do you feel that councils can give and local government can give, to assist individuals, in the community to help the police reduce this?
Well, good local authorities take that as their responsibility.
Right.
But at the same time, much of the grant expenditure of local government come from the central government.
Right.
And every single local authorities in this land, since the emerging of since the defeat of Labour government in 2010 and new Tory and Labour administration came into power,
yes,
there have been done incremental reduction in the grant which is available from the central government to local authority.
Right.
I mentioned the police involvement, and also in the past, we used to have youth centers,
yes,
run by local authority, put staff here to run it, so that when children finish school, if, for example, they cannot go home, they can go to youth center.
That's true.
Now, in Lusham, I don't think we've got any left. Most of them are now run by volunteers.
Right.
In the time of good resources, that is responsibility of local authority. It's very difficult for people to understand it, but if the money is not coming, for example, we've lost in Lucian, we lost more than half of our expenditure of our grant from the central government.
Right.
And at the same time, you lost the money, and you expect to see providing the same service. You cannot provide service without officers there to do it. Over the last few years, we lost in Lucian a third of our staff. And what is happening in Lucian is happening across the whole country.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, you started talking about parents' involvement, in helping out the police and the community before I cut you off. So is it possible to explain more about that, how parents should get more involved so that it won't be like they're shelving their responsibility on other people? Because normally they say all these things, to train your child, it starts from home. But unfortunately, because of the day and age that we live now and the internet, a lot of things, are not becoming that easy for parents to do again. So how can we encourage parents to be more active in the community or seek for help if they think they don't have the ability to be able to help their children, or they see these children going down the wrong path?
You are right. Parental involvement in education is crucial for a child to succeed. Parents, if they have concern, in all schools, they have parents' consultation days. They should go there to find out how their children are doing. And occasionally, parents go to demand of school that they want to see a teacher if there's any concern, not to wait until trouble has blown out. Local authorities also encourage parents to be school governors. So they actually have involvement in what's going on in education, in education of their children, in how schools see their children. And there are also pressure on parents. There are quite a few single parents, single parents yes, who have very, very poor accommodation.
Right.
Local authorities got problem with. It's impossible to provide enough house for everybody to live.
That's true.
And I know my own experience. There are parents who are desperate to have accommodation, and they are giving temporary accommodation away from where they live. I know parents who live in Stansted, who have temporary accommodation in Stansted. That's why we're at Stansted. Children are still at school in Lewisham. And then the children have to attend school. I know one family whereby the mother has to travel with the children to come to school, to leave Sunstead 4 o'clock in the morning to get to come to school in Lewisham. And a child, primary school age, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to attend school, you can see how that affects that child's concentration.
Absolutely.
And therefore, even though it might be in school, but his or her participation in school is very, very limited. So the issue of housing, the issue of deprivation, which many of our people, particularly black people, suffer. I mean, you have people sharing toilet, sharing cooking facilities, which should not happen in normal circumstances.
That's true, sir. And that brings up some other things that you brought, some other issues. You know, something like immigration, for example. I understand from my research that the government has been taken to court because, you know, something like child passport, if you want to have a child British passport, it costs you about £1,012. And the argument is the government is causing more deprivation this way, because where can somebody get £1,012 from? This is minus your rent, your and the bills and other things you have. So these are mainly the reasons that are causing problems in this community these days, that is making these children frustrated. What do you think about this, and how much help do you think we can render to parents like this, especially since it's most of them that that's the background where most of the victims, and the perpetrators are coming from?
That's correct. Well, it is true. It's difficult. I mean, the government could be, well, it is a bit hostile, particularly when it comes to immigration.
Right.
And immigration policy has been such, actually dividing family, whereby family are split up by the way the policy is applied. I mean, it's very, very difficult to live in England now, particularly for black people. And people have seen that it's the government, current government, is like pay as you go government, whereby you pay twice. You'll be here waiting for your immigration status to be put right. Then you have to pay, I don't know how much, but it's quite a lot of money.
A lot of money.
And I know people who have to pay for pay X amount of money to the National Health Service. Even though they are working, they are already deducted. They pay national insurance, all those things, deducted in their wages. So they are paying more than once for the same service.
That's right.
And then, I mean, you hear about the issue of Caribbean who came here during after the war.
Yes.
Windrush.
The Windrush.
Windrush. And then, I mean, I've got a friend who 79 years old who went to hospital, and then he couldn't see the consultant or the certain issue resolved, whereas he's been living in England from the age of 3. He has paid all his life before he retired. So it's just the way the immigration rules are applied, and the current one, or the Windrush is shameful.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember when I came here, the Minister of Health was in power, and he was architect of actually going to Caribbean, go to Africa, go to Asia, and bringing people here to come and help with the shortage of staff in the national health. You do that, build up the nation, then when it's time for you, you and your descendants have no say, have no right to remain.
Right, and this is what we're trying to talk about. When people are feeling segregated, they're feeling excluded, even in their own community. Now, we as adults, we're able to handle it sometimes, not all the time, or we're able to seek help where we can, somebody can assist us or send us to the right people. But unfortunately, with the teenagers, with the young ones that we have now, they seek help from the wrong places. People see these problems they have, see how vulnerable they are. That's why they're always targeted. Like, for example, in the research that I did, before coming on here, I understand that a lot of the you know, drug dealers are now targeting people from excluded, you know, that are in excluded schools because they feel like it's easier, you know, they're more vulnerable and they'll need the money. Even some of them put them through phases like, you know, like boot camp and different things just to make sure that they're equipped on the streets, you know, because of the shootings and the, you know, whatever violence they're facing on street. How can we get these young people to instead, rather than turning to them, to turn to people like you who know more about life, knows about the experience, who are like positive role models in their life, rather than turning to all these drug dealers that just take advantage of their, you know, naivety and innocence?
Well, there are two aspects to it. There are the victims,
right,
which many of them are black, particularly in London. Of the 67 murders or knife gun killing that happened in London up to, you know, July this year,
right,
more than half of them were black.
yes,
and quite a number of them were Nigerians. And then also you got perpetrators. You mentioned drugs.
yes,
Now young people are being used as drug carrier, and they got this thing called county line,
right,
whereby you are in school in London, you are made to go and deliver drugs as far away as Derbyshire, as far away as Scotland.
right,
And not only school children who are excluded, they are being used. They also used children from private schools, because if a child is in private school, it's okay, you can't be touched, you can't be. They will not think he was involved in drug, but they use that.
yes,
Because it's not just only children from the private area. Children from the private area do it because it's another means of income to them.
right,
And people, a lot of our people are responsible. I remember reading in the paper about 2 or 3 months ago, or some people who are convicted, and Africans using young Africans to go and sell drug, to go and carry drug to away from where their place of activities.
right.
So those are the county lines, which is a big issue for us. I mean, all over London, unfortunately.
That's true. I will take this moment to talk about Damilola Taylor, because as we're all aware, this week makes it 30 years that, you know, it was killed. So may his soul continue to rest in peace. I'm sure you were around at that time. So can you just give us a, you know, how you felt around that time, and what if things are getting better or worse, you know, because of the awareness that his dad and the foundation, you know, the awareness that they give every other person to see that this knife crime is becoming more prevalent.
Well, I mean, when it happened about 1988 or thereabout, I was actually working in Suffolk at that time.
Right.
So I was involved in all activities to raise awareness of what's going on. It's a shame that young Damilola Taylor's life was cut short.
Right.
He wasn't carrying a knife. Very studious young person.
Yes.
Actually was coming from school to home, and he was then followed and knifed on the stairwells.
Right.
And those days as well, the awareness of police was not as good as it is nowadays. I mean, it took a long time before they actually discovered, before action was taken by the police.
Right.
I mean, Damilola was not involved in any gang at all. And the black communities in Suffolk were very upset because what happened to me should not have happened. On his way home from school, from library, and then Suffolk authorities at that time also gave a lot of support to Mr. Taylor, Damilola's father at that time. School got involved. There were a lot of conferences and seminars whereby people look at it as an unacceptable situation.
Right.
Unfortunately, more and more have been happening since then.
Yes.
So nowadays, you got people carrying knives because they use that to protect themselves, which I do not accept. And then you got the victim as well. You got the victims, you got perpetrators, all within the same community, black on black crime.
Yeah. living together. You know, if we're living together in the same community, like you said, it's easier, you know, for some people to turn on each other.
Yes.
You see, as a project, we're looking into different things, you know, to introduce to like different schools. Well, I believe that the first place we have to look for will be the, you know, like excluded students, because I think they need more. They need more. They need more support.
Yes.
Yeah, they need to see that they need to persevere, no matter how much problems that they're facing. Which leads me to this part. You know, when you became a mayor, before you became a mayor, you became a councillor and all of those. In those days, I'm sure you must have faced a lot of hostilities. You must have faced a lot of people that will say to you that you can never do it. You can never succeed. How did you prove them wrong, and what hardship did you have to come through?
Well, in the first place,
I'm sorry, maybe people stereotyped you. What stereotypes did you face, you know, and how did you prove them wrong?
well, interesting thing is I was the first African councillor in the history of Lucian.
Oh, right.
There were one or two other non-white councillors, but the very first African-born councillor in Lucian. And before I stood as a councillor, I was very active in the party. Right. So I was involved in the party for many years. So the other councillors in Lucian at that time are people who were well known to me. So we worked together as a party. And the equality issue was taken quite seriously. Well, first I was chair of equalities. During that time, during the Black History Month, I actually invited Wole Soyinka to come and speak at the inauguration of Black History Month.
For those that don't know Wole Soyinka, by the way, he is a Nigerian author, you know.
He's a poet laureate.
He's a poet laureate.
Very first African to win Nobel Prize for Literature.
Exactly.
So I invited him. He came to open the Black History Month for us. And also, I invited the then High Commissioner for South Africa in London. I also had a well-known cricketer from Caribbean.
Right.
So each year of the time I was in charge of equality, that's the kind of things I did. So we worked together as a community. I was also part of my activity at that time. That's when South Africa first became independent.
I see.
Released from the apartheid shackles. And then we have quite a number of conferences. And then one year we actually collected books and equipment, which we sent to South Africa.
I see.
And Her Majesty, the Queen, came to Deptford, my London Borough of Lucian, and I had to present to her the key to the lorry, which contained equipment which was being shifted to South Africa.
I see. Yeah. I see. So in those days, I'm sure.
In those days, I mean, resources were available.
Right.
And I mean, what you said, the issue of gang killing or whatever cannot be solved by one partner. And in those days, people used to be able to get grants from local authority to try and do that voluntarily. You can't do anything without resource to go along with it.
That's true.
And to some extent, I mean, that's still possible for people who are working for the organization to more or less doing the job which local authorities should be doing. Then they could apply for grants or kind of thing. I mean, it's not as easy as it was, but you could still apply for grants.
Another thing
and also you have conference of young people whereby they talk among themselves.
Yes. Yeah, which is leads me to the next question, because I've always believed that there's some. We shouldn't just leave it to the government. We should just leave it to the communities, the religious areas as well. Our religious leaders, they have a huge part to play as well, because they've got a huge impact in especially the parents' lives. Now, as a result of this, how do you think we can, the community and the council can work with all these religious leaders and maybe churches and other organizations to make sure that children from excluded backgrounds, children that have been excluded, and all other troubled teens as well, they can be equipped, with the right skills, for them to go forward. So just in case they face temptations, at least they have a choice whether to say no or not, because they know there are other avenues that they can take.
Well, there are churches that work with young people.
Right.
When it comes to religious leaders, one has to be sensitive about it.
Yes.
Because there have been cases whereby, rather than doing good, some churches have done bad, whereby they see a child being possessed by evil.
Yeah.
And often, it does not always work in favor of the children. I mean, I come from background whereby Christianity was the religion of my family.
Yes.
But the way the church has grown now, I mean, the church is often like an industry, whereby just making money for themselves.
That's true.
And giving misleading information. I mean, there are churches. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are churches who are doing good, who are working with parents and young children, and also within church itself. Church of England or Catholic Church, we have organizations that address problems of youths. There will be group or club to attend where children can work together.
Right.
So there is place for religion to play in the development of young people's life.
Right.
But one has to be sensitive. Apply properly. You heard of safeguarding, whereby how children is looked after.
Yeah.
There are many cases whereby it brought about by abuse of children by some church organizations.
Oh, right.
Whereby they say it's got evil and it must pump evil out of the child. And some people also take that for granted. That's right. So I'm very sensitive when I'm talking about religion.
When it comes to issues like that, right? Thank you. Another thing, another question I'd like to ask you is regarding parents. You know, there's some parents that are having problems, but they can't really come out and speak out because they don't have the right papers. They're scared of being deported. But these are some of the things, vulnerabilities that people use. They take advantage of their children by getting them into trouble, knowing fully well that these parents can speak out because anything can happen. Now, is there anything that can be put in place, like a system where even though they don't have the legal right to be here, but once their children start joining gangs, maybe there's somewhere where they can go confidentially to let the police and the local organizations know, so that the children can be spoken to early on, you know, and help. I won't say save, but help before it gets any more, before they get worse.
There are social groups one could attend. For example, to start with, you got local councillors councillors have advised surgeries, whereby anyone could just go to who live in their area and go to the surgery and explain to them without any problems.
I see.
And whatever is said to the councillor is in confidence.
I see.
And national level also got members of parliament which you could attend to. And then some churches do good as well. You have an expert advice who point people in the right direction, who can help, who can support them. Right. I mean, if you go somebody, you also got Citizen Advice Bureau, though I don't know how many there are nowadays. You have 3 branches in Illusion. I think probably just got one now. So you need to research, say where to go to get help. And if you go somebody and say something in confidence to somebody, I mean, they're not snooper for the government.
Right. Yeah. Right. I think that's why a lot of people have got problems, because they get scared. They think if they go and approach people, you know, in authority, that maybe somebody might snoop on them or report them, then they will start having problems, you know, with the immigration status. So at least I think it's nice for them to know that they can still turn to their councillors and other people regarding this issue. However, you know, with the kids sometimes, one of the problems I notice that they have is when they become like 15 or 16, sometimes they find out that their parents did not make them British citizens. they haven't got legal status because the money is too much. So at that age, they get very angry, they act out, they become vulnerable. When situations like this happen, how can we step in and still encourage the kid that you might not be British, on paper, but you're still a British citizen and you're still useful. You can still be a useful member of the community. Are there skills, like vocational skills that we can introduce to them that they can learn while they trying to sort out their papers?
There are some advice centers.
Right.
For example, the Albany Center in Deptford, there are advice center on housing, advice center on immigration.
I see.
It depends on the age of the child.
Right.
If it's an adult, it's more difficult. There's a case of somebody who was in a school in, I can't remember where it was now, somewhere near London, but they discovered that the age wasn't actually what age said he was, that he was older than that age.
Are you talking about a 30-year-old secondary school?
Yes, yeah. So we've not been trained as adults. I think when it comes to this kind of immigration issue, we have to go to experts.
Right.
There are people who, I know somebody I know who has sorted out a lot of immigration problem for people. Unfortunately, this kind of resource are very, very tight because the money is not there for them to do it. But when they do it properly. There used to be law centers whereby you could actually go there where there are professional lawyers who can advise things. And if you talk to your lawyer confidentially, they're not going to divert to something unnecessary. They're not going to be bad use of it. They only use it for your advantage. So if there are law center, it is work we're going to. Yeah. And also you got organization that work with refugees and asylum seekers.
Oh, right.
So that in almost every borough in London. So that is worth consulting them. And also church. If you do the church in confidence, the vicars of the church, whether it's black church or white church, they might have link with somebody they could talk to on your behalf.
That's a good idea. Oh, thank you very much. I could go on forever because this has been so interesting. And like I said once again, sorry about that. Thank you for coming to join us, to come and talk about this, and to create awareness with regards to all this gang violence. Like I say to people, it's always better to have, gentlemen like the councillor here as role models and mentors rather than having reality stars from love and hip hop. And these are the type of the type of things that we're trying to push forward to make sure that we have a positive impact in our neighborhoods. Oh, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If there's what we do in the future, let us know.
Oh, definitely.
The education of a child is both two ways: schools and home. If the home does not play its part, school cannot fulfill that role.
That's absolutely.
So they spend 8 hours in school, the rest of the day they spend at home. So.
At home, absolutely true. I'm sure we'll be calling on you in the future because, like I said, we've got a lot of plans in the pipeline. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching this show. Once again, this is Toyin Morafa from Voice of the Voiceless. Hopefully, we'll see you again next week. Thank you, and have a good morning.
Heritage Television, promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television. We cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries, and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage. Heritage Television. We've got it covered. Do download our apps on both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile platform. Heritage Television, your very own TV station.